So we're here with Alok Gupta of AutoReel. Alok and his brother founded AutoReel, what, a few years ago now?
Yeah, we've been working on this in stealth mode for just over 2 years.
Yeah, I came across it early on because I personally like to, and if viewers of this channel have seen, I like to find new tech that'll make my life easier, more efficient, as well as make my real estate services better. So I just kind of like to jump on any new tech and try it as soon as I can. And I've tried quite a few image to video technologies already, as people may have seen on my channel. But if you stick around on this video, we're going to give you a code to not only get a free trial for 7 days, we're going to give you a code to get 40% off your. And I've done a few videos on some other competitors of yours. So I have to tell you from the start, I even got a comment on my channel today. I will be very clear that I made other videos on other technologies to see if people would actually notice the differences. I wanted to see comments where people would bring up, hey, this is just an auto, this is just a slideshow, or there's a Ken Burns effect and there's no animations, etc. So someone actually commented overnight and said, I don't know how you think this is better than AutoReel. And I responded and said, thanks for the comment, but I actually don't think it's better than AutoReel. I never said that. I said, there's other competitors that might give you more benefits, which are custom animations and additional AI prompting. But for a lot of people, that's a pain in the butt, right? So it does bring the cost back up, as I've found and I've proven in my videos. And you need to go through quite some hoops, and you even notice that, to get that to the same par. So I can appreciate the simplicity that AutoReel brings for the non-technical person, the realtors who don't have much time, the photographers who need something to go along with their business. So that being said, how can you explain the technology so people know what it's all about if they're not aware of it? And as I'm trying to get people to bring up on my channel, is really the difference between a slideshow and a video animation, because there's a big difference in the way it looks if people look very closely. So whatever you can hone in on that'd be helpful, I think, for people to understand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me on Scott. Really excited to kind of be here. As you mentioned, AutoReel allows real estate photographers, media businesses, and even some more advanced and savvy realtors to really transform just standard, boring listing photos into beautiful videos ready for social media. I think a lot of people, sometimes they'll take a first glance, and as you called out, they'll think it's a slideshow. They will think, it's a Ken Burns effect, but it's really not, right? I think a lot of it is really, once you start looking at it, you'll realize it's not actually zooming into the photo. It's essentially walking through the photo and really, dialing in the experience around, what you would imagine when a, cinematic kind of camera or a gimbal is kind of sliding through a room. Our more recent AI models actually slowed down the videos and made it more cinematic and true to life because we got the feedback. It's moving too fast. It's color correcting too much. So that was intentional in a feature, not a bug. That said, I can understand, some confusion around this. It might look like Ken Burns, or it's moving so slow. I can't tell if it's really a real camera, a cinematography, kind of actual recording with a video, or a Ken Burns. And the other reasoning for that is essentially just to keep it as accurate as possible, right? So like AI and large language models, it's essentially predicting what that next frame is going to be. So if you give it too much rain, too much space, or tell it to do too much more movement than what it can see, it's naturally going to be guessing what's there, even if it's not there. So we have to really find that fine line and balance around, the movement, the shot, the angle, and essentially the video that we built. But we automatically detect each scene and try to identify the best movement, optimize for that framing and subject and lighting to give the most dynamic movements when possible.
In that, you mentioned the new technology, the upgrade. I assume you're talking about the V25,
Yeah.
where you're saying that's a little slower, a little more color accuracy, right? Because
Wait.
I noticed a huge difference
Yep.
from one to the
Exactly.
other.
25. Really, it's just short for 2025, but we thought it'd be cheesy to call it the 2025 model. So we're like V25, bit of an internal discussion between me and my co-founder as well. And I let him have this one. So V25 it is.
I like it, and it does make a difference. And quite honestly, it made me want to use it more and talk about what you're doing more, because I think it's really some great things. By the time I edit this video and come out with it in a few days to a week or so, do you have any more updates coming up? Any future plans that something might come out as early as next week that I might want to talk about in this video? before the video
Yes.
gets edited.
Yes, yes, no, absolutely. So we move incredibly fast here. We've worked at Facebook and Snapchat before. The ethos around moving fast, breaking a few things along the way is certainly something that's been ingrained in us. And so, in the spirit of that, probably within the next 1 to 2 weeks, we'll be launching AI avatars. And so right now, a lot of users will just have static kind of headshot, maybe, somewhere in the video, especially if you used our studio product, our built-in video editor, it'll be a static image. In the next week or two, we're going to make those headshots come to life, whether you want to call it an avatar or a digital twin. We need to figure out the right terminology. It's all brand new, but really it's going to now put the realtor front and center and bring them to life. Even if the real them is very camera shy, may not have the personality, now they will be alive and animated, blinking, smiling, and explaining the home and property that's now listed. And in addition to that, we'll have AI voiceovers as well. So maybe no ad shot, but still have a voice overlaid that's kind of explaining the home, community, neighborhood, and any facts that's important for the viewer.
Is that actually taking a real headshot of a realtor and animating that? Or do they also have the ability to have a totally different character?
Yeah, so it's going to be launching with both versions. So you'll have an existing set of avatars to start with. That's kind of the easiest way out, admittedly, right? Kind of use one that's already existent. But for realtors, they want to showcase themselves. So you'll be able to upload a photo of yourself, and then you'll be able to bring that to life. So we'll probably stagger these releases, but staggering meaning within a week or two of each other, just to get it out and start collecting feedback and results from our early users and adopters.
That's neat. Probably it makes me think of CapCut, very popular video editing software that you can pay for credits and you can get certain characters to say what you want them to say. It's pretty miraculous. Now, are you going to have a credit system, additional cost, or certain plans that will include that feature? How are you going to integrate that?
Yeah, great question. So, as you can imagine, all these AI tools are kind of like a consumption model. They operate on credits. One approach we took that, is different, but has allowed us to really win is not really have a credits model. Like when you buy AutoReel plans, you sign up for 3 videos, 10 videos, or 20 videos a month, right? We call that maybe a video credit, but regardless, we don't have 100,000 credits that allows you to generate, 20,000 photos to video clips. It gets too confusing. We want to keep things super simple, flat, and transparent. But to your point, Scott, it's certainly getting more confusing when now we're layering in more AI models and all of them have their own costs. Probably to start, what we'll do is we will just invest in this. It's going to be free of cost up to probably a few generations per listing video. We're just going to invest and take on the burn. And I think in the meanwhile, we're going to think about and look at how the usage is. Is it a one-shot product? Can you get it right in the first shot? Or like most AI tools, does it take 2 or 3 iterations to get that final result? And then we'll kind of work backwards to see, is that something we invest in, or do we charge a nominal kind of fee just to keep supporting it and give you the flexibility to regenerate more without us kind of tying your hands around it? But something we're actively thinking about. But to start, free.
But free, but it'll be included in different allotments, kind of like your edits are, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So we'll probably have a couple, per plan, and maybe that'll scale up depending on the plan that you're on, and we'll go from there.
and that being said, I'm going to pop into my account. And we've talked about this before. I'm sure some people might be as confused as I, maybe even more so. So this is your platform when you go into create a video. And I wanted to kind of pop in there and make a quick one if I can. So this could provide some, I guess, some hands-on feedback for some people watching this. We can, of course, edit this down. But I'm going to go ahead and take, so I can give viewers an immediate view of what we're talking about. Let me take 15 shots here real quick. Okay, I'm not going to kill you with the 20. Let's take 15. It looks like one question I have as a photographer, and maybe even realtors and such would have the same question. Is there any plan at some point to have these upload by the order of file names? I notice it doesn't do that, for example.
Yeah, so it doesn't do that right now, but there is a plan to sort it by file names. We're gonna have to figure out what that actually means and how do people store their file names. Does everyone do 1, 2, 3, 4, or is it address 1, address 2? So there's some open-ended questions there. Admittedly, especially for photographers and media business owners, we're thinking a faster or more intuitive route rather than uploading is maybe some sort of Dropbox integration. And then we'll figure out, whether it's through here or through Dropbox, what does the hierarchy look like and ordering look like essentially from there.
Would it be easier to upload them in a chronological order, but a timestamp on the photo? Is that only if that information is even on the photo? I guess that's probably part of the pushback there, huh?
Yeah. Admittedly, we can support any of them, but it's a matter of how do we standardize that, or what are the standards or naming patterns or conventions that are, unanimously used by photographers. And then we just adhere to that rule, right? It's a matter of having that standardized rule.
Right. So we won't bore people, but we'll just show how we can get all these pictures over. We're not going to worry about ordering them because I have some questions on the next screen. These are my 15. And if anyone wants full tutorials, I got them on my channel. So the couple questions here in using this, correct me if I'm wrong, auto, push in, push out, orbit right, orbit left. You really can't change these at all once you go through the first generation. You can get in and you can do the redo or swap, right? You can change the music. You can go into studio and do some other things, but really on this basic screen here, you want to either choose auto or be pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, which motion you want to have this do, because you can't change that, right?
Exactly. So for right now, we have it set up so you select the camera movement at the original creation time. Later, you can redo and swap. But admittedly, Scott, because we're doing this at scale, we had to find kind of the right set of balances and, options that you can trigger. So, people don't go crazy with it and take a bad result, make it even worse, right? So instead, we offer on an edit to redo or swap because we know that's a higher success rate on the second time. Whereas if we give people free reign to choose all these movements on the second one, it may just create more edits needed to get the final result that they're looking for.
So redo is just asking it to generate again, not knowing whether it's going to be pushed in again or so forth. Is it going to still do the same exact motion you chose the first time?
No, and that's what adds to the complexity around offering movements again the second time. People could select the same one. So, admittedly, we basically simplified redo to basically go for the push in for the reason I mentioned earlier. It just simplifies everything and gives you that result where we want to minimize the number of generations needed to get a result that is acceptable. And push in is like the most accurate. So it looks good in cinematic, has, kind of almost no glitching artifacts or side effects that you would imagine. And so that gives you a result that works for probably 99% of use cases today.
Got it. So obviously we got landscape, we got portrait here. That's super useful. And I want to point out that your studio feature, which is another conversation, allows you to change that later, which is nice. That's a new feature of the studio. So people can change this later. Intro, outro text. You got your font style, which is very nice. I, as a photographer, like to kind of touch up those myself. And of course, you can choose audio here, which brings me to the question. Here's some audio that I've got from my licensed audio provider. I've asked you this before. Maybe you can speak to this purpose in this interview so people can understand where you might be with the music selection, what your future might hold. I know that I, as a creator, not everyone will be, and I, as a professional photographer, giving this to realtors and property managers, I want to not worry about licensing. I don't want a property manager or a realtor coming back to me saying, oh, I tried putting this on my YouTube channel and I can't, it's a copyright issue, blah, blah, blah. So what might be in the plans, if anything, to change that? Because obviously I like to see more variety, although I'll say it is nice to still be able to upload your own.
Absolutely. No, that's great feedback. We hear it, all the time around a more expansive music library. So right now, what we've done, we have maybe 20, 30 tracks that are royalty free. Admittedly, we did a search, found a resource to get, quick and easy royalty free websites. We trusted them with the royalty free tracks. In the spirit of moving fast, breaking things, we just provided that corpus of audio through our kind of existing library, but also we open it up so you can upload your own soundtrack and you can also upload even voiceovers if you want of your own. That said, we do have plans to expand this. And so we're going to be rolling out a more expansive music library, maybe in the next, month and a half or 2 months or so, that will then integrating and partnering with, one of the large more licensed audio providers like Epidemic, Soundstripe, and so forth. We just have to do the scoping and research on the right solution that makes sense for us. But that'll open the floodgates to probably over 10,000 tracks that you can then search for. You can search for Calming Ocean Breeze or Mountain Forest Vibe and pick one that resonates with you and your listing and neighborhood.
Nice. So yeah, it's a whole nother world that people don't realize exists with the whole music licensing. Right or wrong, I know that realtors have this craze for speed ramping and effects like that you'll find in video editing software nowadays. And you'll find, of course, professional photographers and they're paying more for that. It's a lot more work. And if that's going to be the future, that's fine too. As a photographer, I'm happy to keep that as a premium service. But do you have any other effects like speed ramps that is so popular in real estate that might be a part of the software at one point, or you just don't even want to go there?
No, absolutely. I think, for us, our use case is kind of split between both the realtors, but also real estate photographers, media business owners. And so more advanced kind of transitions and edits that you can have to make the video more, custom and personalized and just look cool and hip. And that's just a trend today. So it is something on our roadmap. But that said, we are kind of an AI platform company in the real estate space. And we have so many things just on the core native AI, kind of capabilities roadmap that it's something that we will probably circle back to, these more creative bells and whistles. Once you're happy with the more advanced AI features around avatars, voiceovers, then we'll come back to transitions, animations, edits, and things like that. So on the roadmap, but, a little bit farther along, probably early next year or something.
Do you get many realtors asking you for things like that? Because they're so used to seeing it from photographers, and they're probably trying to
No.
replicate that, I would imagine. No? Okay.
No, I only see it on fancy realtors on Instagram who have the speed ramps. They have them walking on the driveway with the text behind them. I don't know if that actually helps them drive conversions or leads to that listing, or if it just makes them become a wannabe influencer on social media. But admittedly, I haven't heard that feedback, so I'm not prioritizing it for this quarter at least.
Yeah, it's interesting, as a photographer, what I hear from realtors and property managers. And for example, I like to share this, you being one with the image video service and people out there that are listening. I actually took sample videos, image the videos, and I gave it to 5 different clients about 2 or 3 months ago. And I said, would you pay a little less for this to have it back quicker? And they said, absolutely. So that alone made me realize that obviously they're going to do this themselves if they know how, or they will do it themselves. But there's a lot of people who don't want to do it themselves. So there's always that fine line where photographers don't want to resell those kinds of things because realtors can do that. But hey, they can do virtual staging now themselves and virtual dusk images. So I would like to leave that opportunity to be a cost savings because it's quicker for me too. If they want to go premium, they pay you to do the manual video, which is speed ramping and fancier editing with text or whatever else they might want, because that's a lot of time. It's obviously a huge time saver where I don't have to stay around and shoot video for another half hour. I can just take the pictures and do this. That's what I love about it. And that's what makes me so excited about getting it done. So in terms of your service, in terms of your terms and conditions, I know photographers that might be watching might have questions around what AutoReel has in their terms and conditions as far as usage rights to their photos, even their edited videos. Do you retain any rights to photos or videos, even for your own marketing purposes without people's permission? I know that that's usually a way people contend new technology, whether it's a media software business that delivers the photos and videos to the clients, or someone like yourself that basically has access to these. And quite honestly, they sit there in the library because you can't even delete them, right? You can't delete the videos or even the photos in the library out, can you?
No. So right now you can delete the photos from the library out and all of that, but I don't think we have the ability to delete, the projects or videos. We haven't gotten any feedback around that. Admittedly, we have gotten it for the photos, which is why we support it. But besides that, if we haven't heard from people, we're not going to do it. But admittedly, to answer your question, Scott, we're a tech company, right? We are focused on kind of, this building out this AI platform for real estate content, right? In the video format. So I'm not in the business of holding your photos and videos hostage. And admittedly, that was one of the earliest questions we got from, our kind of initial set of users, which is basically, photographers who, wanted to make sure that their rights were retained when it comes to photography. So we added the clause and made it very clear. We do not own anything that is being uploaded onto AutoReel, whether it's photos or the videos that are outputted, and we release the liability and just basically request that all users that use the platform confirm that they do have, the right kind of permissions and authority to do so. It's out of our
That's great
control.
because I know that there's a lot of concern amongst these AI photo editing companies, and I think one also, we'll keep them nameless, had some concern about the way they worded things, and they were not clear about that. So I can appreciate that. I'm sure people that are watching this can appreciate that. People, I guess the realtors probably don't ask you that. It's probably more a photographer thing, isn't it?
Photographers,
Yeah.
ton of our users, and admittedly, a lot of our power users are, photographers or, kind of real estate media agency owners. So that was one of the earlier questions that they asked. And we said, without a doubt, it's yours to keep. We don't do anything with it. It does make my marketing harder because admittedly, I literally go and just ask some of our top kind of users and customers if they're open to sharing, a couple of their, you know, generated videos that I can use for showing off on social media. But I literally text them or email them for permission and they give me explicit
Yeah. That way
confirmation.
we got the video back here. We're going to play through it and show you what we did real quick here.
And I don't think you selected audio, Scott.
Good. That's correct. I didn't select audio.
But you can see this is not a Ken Burns. Like this looks pretty beautiful, actually.
It does. So, and what I want to point out here is for people watching, I look for the wider rooms. Anything that's too tight, like a bathroom shot, you're kind of playing with fire. If it's a tight angle and you want it to orbit, it's going to show some artifacts. I left all this in auto, and I like the wider, and I like some of these angles. If it's a straight on shot, which I typically like to shoot, I make sure it's not too tight. Like this straight on, but it was a shot of the whole room in this backyard as well. And I think that's how you're going to avoid the artifacts.
And Scott, this one looked good. So if you give me the rights and permissions, I'd love to feature it on our marketing channels as well.
Of course, I think that the whole idea here is that you're taking these photos and you're taking quality photos from your photographers. You're taking these photos from your photographers. They're better lit than most videos. I want to point that out in this video before we end this. Just people say, oh, you're giving away tips of realtors to do this themselves and you're charging less to do videos. Well, some people still aren't going to spend $200-300 extra for a video, but they might spend $50 to $150 or $50 to $100 for this, especially if it's quicker. It's really important to highlight these are taking it perfect horizons by most photographers. The lighting is better, the editing is better, the whites are more neutral and clear. So you're dealing with a much better exposed image than most videographers are going to do, especially at the price point and the speed they do a home in. So I think that's something that I'm very excited about. But you can see how the color and the lighting is all pretty stable here. So that's what I wanted to point out.
I think the credit is all to the photographer, Scott. So garbage in, garbage out, but also roses in and even more roses out in this case. So you crushed it on these photos.
Well, that's the idea. So that's why I think it's something that photographers can either do it or, get off the pot, so to speak. So they really need to look into this. They really need to know about the differences between AutoReel and the competitors and get in here and try it themselves. So we'll have a code in the description below for 40% off your first month. That's in addition to your 7-day trial. I definitely think this is worth checking out for anybody because the one free video you get without that is a 720p, right? You're not really getting the full benefit of seeing the magic of the 1080.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a watermarked video. So a lot of people don't believe it or they think it's the Ken Burns. So the fully free plan, no credit card, gives you a watermarked video with 720 so you can see the movement, see that it actually brings your photos to life. But any of our other plans, especially when they use your link, will include that free 7-day trial and you get all the features. It really is just an investment on that.
So once again, I want to thank Alok for being here and talking to us. And remember, there'll be a link in the description below for 40% off your first month. That's in addition to a 7-day free trial, which is by and large better than your free 720p video that you can get without the credit card. Anything else you want to follow up on and touch on, Alok?
No, I think you hit all of the points here. Your link and the code will get them a great offer that they don't owe us a dime on to really give it a spin. And as you kind of hinted, the biggest use case we're seeing is existing photographers using this as an upsell to their existing customers. 10-15 minutes as you did here and making 80 to 100 bucks in that 10 minutes and growing their business from here. So it's been phenomenal to see the growth.
And even packaging it, it's really easy for me to package it in with another, with another package as a $50 or $75 item because there's still extra profit there. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier than video. I love making videos. It's fun. It's different than doing photography, which I've done for decades, but it's extremely time consuming. So this is what I get most excited about, how the quality keeps getting better and it's saving me time and still making me kind of fine line between making extra money and making the clients really happy because it's something you give them that's really good. You give it to them probably a day earlier than you might a video.
Yep. And this is the worst it's ever going to be. So it's going to be insane to see what we can do next.
Yeah, it's between AI photo editing, AI video editing. You have to know what's out there and you got to make it work to your advantage. So thanks again. Thanks again for all your time.
Appreciate it.